I thought I'd show you how we put up our Latitude Pioneer XL rooftop tent and the ground floor extension or annex. So to start with, you have to unclip the cover for the rooftop tent and then unzip around the bottom, which of course seals it and prevents any water getting in while it's on top of your car. As you can see here, I can't very easily reach across the bonnet to get to the zip, so I have a small folding stool which folds flat and is very easily transportable to help me reach the zip, and in fact to help me reach quite a lot of the other steps of this process too. Once it's unzipped, you can just release the cover, and that hangs down on the side of the car. You can either leave it there or you can roll it up, or as I am doing, you can take it off because I'm going to replace that with the ground floor extension. Underneath the cover there are some pinch clips to release, you can see there, and then you extend the ladder which helps you lever the tent open, and that step is actually super easy, not at all difficult to pull. It was so windy that at this point the camera fell over, and I didn't notice until one of the girls told me. So what I missed recording was me pulling this canopy over and putting a pole in that to hold it out above the ladder. And that's pretty much the tent done, although there are a couple of guy lines to hold it in place. But I find it easier to put the ground floor extension on next. And as you can see, even though it's very breezy, the tent isn't actually moving anywhere. You don't have to use a tarpaulin underneath the ground floor extension, but it does obviously offer another level of protection for the floor. In fact, at this site, which is grass pitches and no gravel anywhere, I'm sure it would have been fine without. So I'm just very loosely pegging that down to stop it blowing away. And then here is the actual extension, which I'm emptying out onto the tarpaulin there. It's a very different concept to a normal tent. Usually you lay out a tent and then you have to erect it using poles or other structures, air beams, whatever, to hold it up. But with the roof tent ground floor extension, you're actually hanging it from the tent. So I'm just unfolding it here, and as you can see, it's got a nice heavy PVC base, so it's not blowing around too much. And then the next thing I need to do is to slide the back into the C channel that I took the actual waterproof cover off. It's really easy to do. You literally just slide it in from one end and then feed it along to get all the way through the channel. I think the hardest thing for me is knowing what the best position to be in, and you'll see here that I've fed it in from one side to a certain extent, and then I walk round to do a bit from the other side. And that's not because it's difficult, but rather that I'm trying to put the least amount of strain possible on the fabric. This is only the second time I've actually put the ground floor extension on, and as you can see, I'm not really doing very much there, so I end up coming back round again and just pulling from this side after all. Once that's pulled through, it is just a matter of zipping it around. So this side here is where the zip starts, and I'm just connecting that up, and then it literally just zips all the way around very easily. And as I zip it up, what I do need to do is just release the guy lines. You can see them, they're tucked up in little pockets. Everything has a little pocket to tuck away into when you're putting it away, but obviously that has to be on the outside of the tent, on the outside of the ground floor extension, once I've actually zipped it on. And the ground floor extension obviously has a door at the front, which you'll see coming in there, but it also has a door at the back, which you can't see from here, and that back door unzips to allow you access to your vehicle without leaving the ground floor extension if you want to. So now with that extension hanging from the tent, you can see that it is actually a little bit long on my car. And that's because it has to accommodate a range of vehicle heights. My car is at the shorter end of the range for the ground floor extension. So this one could go on a car that is up to 30 centimetres, about a foot taller, and still fit. For even taller vehicles, there is an adapter to make the ground floor extension taller. So now, as you can see, I'm pegging out the ground sheet, and I'm not sure whether I've got quite the right technique for this yet. Because it hangs and there's a little bit of spare fabric, it's not as taut as a normal tent would be once it's been put up. As well as the ground sheet pegs, there are tabs on each corner to peg down, and that takes up the slack in the fabric if you don't need the full height of the extension. The final step then is to peg out the guy lines which hold the actual roof tent and stop it from folding back up again. And that's the ground floor extension added on. The final step is to just put in the window poles if you want to extend these out on your rooftop tent. Once it's up, we bring in the essentials. We've discovered that to get the most out of a rooftop tent, you need to treat it differently to a normal tent. With my bell tent, I bring everything in, we set up for several days or a week or 2 weeks, and we make it a home from home. We bought the rooftop tent to enable us to be nimble and do road trips, so we want setup and breakdown to be easy. And the way we do that is by primarily living out of the car and just bringing in the essentials. I hope you've enjoyed seeing just how easy it is to put up a rooftop tent and ground floor extension.